Hey, this is not a CTO dose. This is experiment number one, day number one, hopefully of 300 and something days of vlogging. And that's vlogging with a V. I think there's an opportunity to tell stories in a more traditional way. Typical CTO dose over on other channel is about 5 minutes when I'm not interviewing someone. This is me just talking to the camera, whether it's doing a light board or a talking head type piece. This is more about a personal journey. I'll mix in some B-roll and some videos just to talk about the experience, whether we're at a conference or show or whatever. But I think there's an audience that wants to be taken on a journey, not just about my personal life, but about just achieving something big. This year is about achieving some really big things. Last year, me and Melissa had a pretty challenging year. For me, getting let go from VMware to have to restart the CTO Advisor full time, to Melissa getting diagnosed with cancer and then have to battle through that and reconstruction. She's upstairs healing now, and thank you everyone for the thoughts and prayers. What does it take to go through all of that and build this business and innovate at the same time? How are we innovating in 2020? Well, again, it's about telling deeper stories. I think you build trust, and I think this is what I'm most known for, is being authentic. Letting guys know what's going on with a technology, good or bad, what's going on with me professionally, good or bad. Just telling you what it's really like so that you can make better decisions, whether it's better decisions in your career, better decisions purchasing, making purchasing decisions, or better decisions just in life in general. Learning from my successes and failures, I think, is one of the big advantages of this world, or that we now live in. Now, how are we going to better do that in 2020 as a company in the CTO Advisor? I teased on Twitter that we're building a data center. Well, that's not telling the whole story. We're building a data center, but why are we doing it? I think it's more descriptive or appropriate to not call it a data center, but to call it a studio. And the studio will have attached to it a data center. If you think about some of the content that I've done in the past, it's always been about what's either happened in the past, me deploying 12,000 endpoints, or me helping AdV get connected to Internet 2, I2. Or it's been me teaming up with the folks at vBrownBag to tell a story about installing Supermicro's latest 2U box that does blase skippity. That's not, the details are not critically important. Or it's me on tech field days sharing, that shared experience with delegates. We're drilling a vendor as they're presenting on their technology and whether or not their technology will actually work to solve your problems. One of the things that I think is a challenge with those types of stories is that they're just a snapshot in time. And not just a snapshot of time, but a small snapshot in time of a process that stretches on from days, weeks, months, or even years. I think the data center is a way to tell multiple stories at one time. We can team with the vBrownBag guys, for instance, to tell you what it's like to install a Dell Power One or a 3-par unit, a Nutanix cloud solution inside the data center, what that unboxing experience looks like, what it feels like to actually touch and go into challenges of installing the solution. But then we leave you there. We box it back up, give it back to the vendor. What is it like to actually receive it in shipping? What is it like to negotiate sponsorship in my case? So in your case, it might be price. In my case, it might be sponsoring. What is it like to design the solution, to actually implement the solution? The delta between the design and the implementation. What is it like to operate the solution? Day 30, when there's a requirement change, or when there's a firmware upgrade, or when something breaks, what is it like day 30, 60, and 90? You can't do that, I don't think, with traditional ways of telling stories. So I want to tell stories in a new way. I think this opens up new opportunities as well. So, a vendor can choose to spend their tech field day presentation, instead of them talking about what could have been with a product or solution, they can talk about what they did in the CTO Advisor data center. I think this helps the overall ecosystem of my peers and friends being able to tell stories. The super talented guys at actual tech media, I can just imagine what they could do in partnership with this new innovation and how we tell stories. You might be thinking, you know what, isn't that exactly what Howard Marks did when he had his lab? Not exactly. Howard would take stuff and tell you about, specifically around the storage world, will this storage array meet the advertised marketing claims of the speeds and feeds? That's not what we're doing. I don't really care much about speeds and feeds. I care about, if I need to extend a workload into the public cloud, is the Nutanix solution really a one button or one pane of glass experience? Can I actually manage my entire cloud from that one platform? What happens when I bring some guy in like Alex, a developer like Alex Ellis, or a machine learning expert like Itzy that we had on doing AWS reInvent? What happens when I bring one of those resources in and they need to do something in the public cloud requiring data that's on-prem? First, how do we technically do that? And two, how does the vendor's vision match up to actual operations? That's what this new long form is about. Being able to tell these stories that are much, much richer than simply an unboxing installation or looking in the past, talking about what could have been, or looking at a solution and thinking through logically what would happen. Let's actually put it in the data center. Let's attach a studio to that data center, and let's talk about this thing brass knuckles, what's really happening. I'd love to hear your feedback. Engage with me. That's another big goal for 2020, for you guys to actually engage in the content. Comment down below in the YouTube comments, or on Twitter, my favorite platform, at CTO Advisor on Twitter. You can find me on LinkedIn. The most important thing, subscribe. Hit that little bell. Copy and paste this link to Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook. Share what the CTO Advisor is doing, and hopefully we'll grow the audience, but more importantly, we'll get more people involved in the conversation. Talk to you next vlog.